Hour number 2. How much do you think that injury to Teron Diggs affects the Dallas Cowboys and their ability to get to a Super Bowl? How much do you think that hurts them? Trayvon Diggs. Thank you, Scott. How much do you think that hurts them? A lot. Funny, the Cowboys are pretty deep from what I'm understanding. Deron Bland had 5 picks last year. That led the Cowboys in interceptions. They're pretty deep at that position. Now, look, if you told me they lost Micah Parsons, I think that's a huge deal. This year, it's a big deal. I'm not suggesting it's not. I think it's a big deal too. But it's not a catastrophic deal. Because you know why? The Eagles have lost people, and the 49ers are going to lose people. Everyone's going to lose people. To me, again, this comes down to the war of attrition. If the Cowboys only lose, if they only lose Diggs, and they can get to the NFC Championship game having only suffered that loss, you have to wait and see how the rest of the league, how it plays out. I think right now, today, it's a big deal. But look, the Jets lose their quarterback. They're out of the picture. Diggs doesn't put the Cowboys out of the picture. You see what my point is? There's level of disasters. The Jets are not a Super Bowl. And I don't agree with people. The Jets are not a playoff team with what they have playing quarterback. They're not a playoff team. Okay? They're not. And, I see people saying that the center and Zach Martin, it's the Cardinals. Don't worry about it. The Cowboys are going to destroy that team. They're going to destroy them. The Cowboys might throw a goose egg up on that team defensively. I mean, they may pitch another shutout. And on top of that, they got a heck of a D coordinator. Now, I want to go over to the other side of the football with the Eagles here as you go through the weekend and get ready for Monday night. If you're preparing for let me tell you what the Bucs are thinking right now and how they look at that Eagle defense. What do you think is Baker Mayfield's biggest threat right now, preparing an offensive game plan against the Eagle defense? Who's the one guy that scares you on that side of the ball? Is it Jalen Carter? Probably. It's Jalen Carter. I don't fear Reddick right now because Reddick's still nursing an injury. Now, here's the thing about a guy like that, though. If you don't identify him and where he's lined up, all of a sudden that guy's healthy and he has 2 sacks on you and 2 caused fumbles, and you didn't prepare for him, you're doing yourself a disservice. So for me, from what I'm understanding, they're going to run right at him. They are going to run the football right at Hassan Reddick. You're not going to run the ball at Josh Sweat. You're going to run the ball right at Reddick. He's undersized. And by the way, Brandon Graham's not playing well. I think he's okay. He looks old. We're starting to see Derek Barnett get a ton of snaps. Are we not? Am I right when I say that, Tone? Derek Barnett's getting significant snaps now. And Barnett, you're starting to see that thing kind of go the other way in snap count. Now, maybe they're trying to preserve him for later in the year. And by the way, no shade. He's just, the amount of work he's getting is not a lot. Okay? So to me, I mean, Brandon Graham doesn't look like he's really like he was a year ago, and it just doesn't. Even his get-off looks a little different. So the Bucs are going to run the ball at that side, and that's the run side of the offensive line as well. So they're going to run the ball there. Okay? It just seems to me that Brandon Graham looks a little old this year. Right now, the Bucs are averaging 2.9 yards per rush. Correct, they have no running game. I think they got 73 yards this past week, which was good enough just to get enough play action going. And their first game against Minnesota, when they went up there, they had no rushing yards almost. I mean, they have no running game. They've got to get a running game going. Okay? If they could get 115 yards against the Eagles rushing, I think that's a big test. Baker Mayfield will throw for 350 yards. It'll be the third straight quarterback to go over 300 yards against you. Because Evans will be going nuts. He'll go nuts. The key to that thing is you got to get something in the run game. Something in the run game. Your linebackers, they don't give a shit about your linebackers. They think they're nothing. The safety position's a little Here, I'll tell you exactly. They think your tackles are great. The group. Your edge rushers, Sweat's very good. Graham, Reddick's hurt. Linebackers, nothing. Safeties, inexperience. Corners, one old, one coming off a concussion protocol. That's exactly how they're looking at them. Okay? JM goes, your takes are schizophrenic. The league's schizophrenic. 1 week you're preparing to run the ball. The next week you're preparing to throw the ball. 1 week you're preparing to throw middle screens. The next week you're preparing to throw to tight ends. 1 week you're preparing to throw deep 25-yard plus passes. That's how the league is. It's not built in one sandbox. The league is schizophrenic. It's a great take, JM. It's a great There is no logic in game preparation in the NFL. It's personnel matchups. 1 week, look, the first week, the Patriots had really great places where they could be a problem for the Eagles. They dominated your O-line. They were great in being able to throw the ball and pass protect. Their wideouts got wide. Their tight ends ate your linebackers up. Okay? The next week. And by the way, were the Eagles not schizophrenic in the Viking game? They tried throwing the ball. Then they realized they couldn't throw the ball. Or not realize they couldn't throw the ball. That the Vikings couldn't stop the run. So they went there. You call it schizophrenic. I call it in-game adjustments. Just different terminology, my friend. That's all it is. Rocksteady says, I'm telling you, Baker can get out of trouble. But you know what, Rock? I think that's been a problem in his career because I think he is a little bit suspect when pressure comes in the pocket. I thought his pocket presence with pressure was one of the reasons why he struggled in Cleveland. I thought he struggled in Cleveland because of pocket presence. Okay? I did. I thought he took off too soon. Instead of sitting in there and taking a shot in the chops, you got to have some courage in there. And you got to take a hit back there. Your offensive linemen see that. You're taking a pounding back there and you're still standing there. They're going to tend to block for you more. You take off running, that old line doesn't stay in pass probe as much. He's doing a better job of that, though, this year. Baker Mayfield. Okay? So far, Baker has gone up against two of the worst D-lines in the NFL. The Eagles are a bit of a different animal. I don't really think your edge rushers have really gotten home. I mean, I think you're getting your pressure internally, but I wouldn't say that the pass rushing has been spectacular like it was a year ago. I think it's been good. As a matter of fact, your pass rushing hasn't really affected any of these quarterbacks whatsoever. These quarterbacks have all had great games against them. So, I mean, you know, that defense is not as good as people thinks it is. It's just not. And quite frankly, if you want to go with Tone's mentality, I'll throw this mentality at you. The Eagles have also played two of the worst rushing attacks so far. Now, I think New England's going to straighten it out. But Minnesota doesn't have a running attack. That's why they just got Cam Akers. I mean, that decision to move off of Dalvin Cook, it looks even dumber. You have no running attack. You know what I mean? Yeah, and Tone goes, as a collective group, he respects it. I think they're okay. I don't think they're great right now. That linebacking core sucks. That secondary is not very good right now. The numbers dictate that. Mac Jones tore you up. I mean, again, when I look at the Eagle defense and I look at the 49er and Cowboy defense, I don't see the same thing. Even the Jets defense, I don't see that. I don't see anything remotely close to that. I saw Hunter Henry own that linebacking core and safety core. I saw Reed Blankenship running in circles against the Patriots. I mean, to each his own. Some will see a better defense than I do. Okay? No, I agree with you, Tone. They did a nice job stopping the run against the Patriots. They did. I think the Patriots, if I'm not mistaken, I think they had 90-some yards rushing. I think it was somewhere in there, 90, maybe 107. That's great when you hold them down there. And the Vikings had no running attack. Okay? But again, they're getting destroyed in the secondary by the passing game now. It's a passing league. Hasn't people realized what they're trying to do to the running back? They're trying to phase out the running back position. Okay? I mean, the guy who had the best offensive performance so far has been your running back. Not anybody in the wide passing game. That's a great one too. Scott, that's true. That's true. That's the one point, and to me, that goes back to decide too. I think they have done a nice job at turnovers. That's something that they've kept up from a year ago. You know, as I said to you, the team that has done the best job so far this year on turnover takeaways and, has been the Cowboys. They have no turnovers, and they lead the NFL in turnover takeaways. That's why they look the way they do. Now, the Diggs injury is going to be something to keep an eye on, for sure. Okay, and personally, I do not believe the Cowboys have the Cowboys, I don't believe have a lot of depth. But then again, I don't really think the Eagles do. I think they have great depth in their tackle position, defensive tackle. So far, Brandon Graham has looked old. Sweat's looked good. Here, I'll give you, here. This is how I look at the play. Sweat's been good. I like him a lot. Carter has been great. Jordan Davis doesn't even look like the same guy of a year ago. Fletcher Cox looks good. Milton Williams looks good. Brandon Graham, Hassan Reddick, Zach Cunningham, better in the Viking game. Rest of those guys, Nicholas Morrow and them dudes, I don't know. You're, right? I mean, we're not talking about an exceptional group right now. That's nothing near what it was a year. Like I said, I watched the 49ers last night. The 49ers, they're a better team. Now, it's September. That I give you. And if we learned anything from Diggs and the injury, it's going to change weekly. You see, this is why a guy like some of you guys go like this. Sileo flip-flopped on the Dallas Cowboys. How could you not when you lose Diggs? Do you think you should still stick with something? Like, do you think people who said that the Jets are going to the Super Bowl, do you think that they still have that opinion today? Is that a flip-flop or is that reality? How many people still think the Jets are a Super Bowl team? Versus when Aaron Rodgers had the flag in his hand and he was running out on the MetLife. It's not a pivot. It's reality. It's not a pivot. You lose Diggs and you just got, all of you just got through telling me it's a big loss. So you don't think that that's going to weigh on whether or not that team could potentially get to an NFC title game. Which is it, guys? Which is it? See, Callie Green still thinks the Jets are Super Bowl contenders then. Or playoff contenders, right, Callie? Even though Rodgers is there or not. You still think that. The same guy who was lying to you who said that Carson Wentz was a franchise quarterback when he finished second in the MVP voting. And you know that same stupid list that Hurts was third on this year? Wentz was third too. Talk to me about shit like that. Stupid conversation. Come on, man. Whatever. Oh, yeah, no, here. Hey, the Cowboys are still the dominant defense, even though Diggs is not there. You guys listen to those. See, those guys must be 80 years old. Now, here, let's do this. What happens if the Bucks? Nah, I'm not going to go there because I don't like doing that kind of radio. What happens this and what that? I don't. I wait for it to happen. Okay, I don't like doing that shit. Let's just see how this thing plays out on Monday. Bruce Arians and the Buccaneers and how they're viewing Baker Mayfield right now. Where is that? Listen to this. Baker Mayfield, first guy in, last guy out. Works with the young receivers. Spends time with them after practice. Watching game film. Preparing an attack versus the Eagles. What can work, what can't work. He's been everything we have hoped for. We heard a lot of different critiques of him. But he has knocked down almost all of them this early part of the season. He's made the organization pause at the direction that they're in right now. But it's early. Just like Jared Goff, just like Geno Smith, just like Ryan Tannehill. Maybe the grass is greener sometimes on the other side when you get to a better organization. Okay, maybe. Okay. Again, me building my team for the next 3 years. Like when I look at the quarterbacks that are coming out into the NFL draft, and I'm the Buccaneers and I have a chance to get a quarterback, do I want to hang my hat on Baker Mayfield versus Drake May, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams? Do I want to hang my hat on that? Me personally, if I'm Jason Light, I'm still I'm still circling the airport on this one. Okay, I'm still circling the airport. I'm not landing on that thing yet. Now, I'll tell you what. We saw this play out this past offseason with Jared Goff. The Detroit Lions had 2 first-rounders, and they could have took a quarterback, and they went in a different direction. Now, they took the kid Hooker at the top half of the draft, but not in the first round, the kid from Tennessee. So they kind of hedged their bets a little bit. Still, they went linebacker and running back. They got a guy to help Goff, and they got a guy on the other side that could help stop the run and play in pass coverage in that kid Campbell. Jared Goff made the Detroit Lions pause. I thought they were going to make a move for a quarterback and move off that dude. Okay, I really did. And the Lions won 9 games with him last year. Tell you what, I like the way Jared Goff is playing. Jared Goff is playing better football in his career. Dan Campbell's proven to be a good coach. Hey, they've done something in the last 2 years you've never done. That's beat KC. And they beat KC in KC. Opening night. Well, this guy wasn't there. That guy wasn't there. I know. Come up with everything on the planet. They're still the Lions. They're still the Lions. They dumped this last week's game. I still think they got to learn how to win. A lot of expectations on that football team. But Jared Goff doesn't hurt them. By the way, I'm not suggesting in any way that Jalen Hurts hurts the Eagles. Not at all. As a matter of fact, there's really nobody that's in that organization that is hurting the Eagles' chances of being a successful football team each and every single year. I don't see anybody. Howie gets in the way a little bit sometimes where I don't think he should be. But again, it's a philosophy that, hey, if he has something, there's 2 things maybe I hate. He does 70 things great. You eat those 2 things and you go, whatever. Okay? You go, whatever. You know, I mean, so far to me, I think he's pretty good on the Desai hire. I think the Brian Johnson, I think these, hey, of all the things that are going on in the NFC, again, the 49ers look great. Well coached. But to me, you know what that team has to do? They were consistent a year ago. They have to stay healthy, and they got to run through the tape. The 49ers are not going to be gauged on what they do on a Thursday night against the shitty Giants. The same way that, hey, by the way, you know, maybe I should really kind of like reel that into a little bit. Really doesn't matter, really, does it? What the Eagles are looking like and what they're doing now. Who gives a shit? Quarterback's making $50 million. He either wins the Super Bowl or he doesn't. After that, all bets are off. Same with Lamar Jackson. Same with Justin Herbert. Same with Patrick Mahomes. Same with Joe Burrow. Same with Josh Allen. Who gives a shit? If they don't make it to the NFC title game, what are we talking about here? Right? Brock Purdy's played great. I thought he's played some pretty good football right now. 49ers look spectacular. Cowboys look spectacular. Okay? Spectacular. Now, let me ask you this about this game Monday night. You know, one thing about Purdy, too, before I move on, he gets that ball out of his hand quick. You know, there's no pump fakes. He's really good looking right now, man. Last pick in the draft. You know, financially, 49ers are in a great place. They are in the best place in the NFL with Brock Purdy as their quarterback. And that may save that whole Trey Lance thing. Hey, Niner, all day. You might have a quarterback lead the team to a Super Bowl making less than $1 million for the next 2 years. How about that? And can you imagine? Purdy took a team to the NFC Championship game 2 years in a row, and he makes less than $900,000. Or he makes less than $1 million. He makes like $937,000. That's crazy. That's why you could pay Nick Bosa. You could pay Deebo Samuel. You could pay Fred Warner. You could play Hufanga. You could play all them guys. George Kittle. Trent Williams. Guy's making less than that guy may be, how about this? How about a Super Bowl winning quarterback making less than $1 million? That's Moneyball. And all the $50 million guys are playing golf somewhere in the Bahamas. That would be, whoa. That's a story. Well, he made it to the NFC title game, making $900,000. So it's not like it's not out of the realm of possibilities. And he is 3-0. So let me get this right. You know, what's the 49ers, where'd they go last year? How many wins did the 49ers have last year? How many wins did they have? I know it was a collection of guys. They had like Trey Lance, and they had Trey Lance, and I think Garoppolo played a little bit too. Then they had this guy. Did they go 13-4? Okay, 13-4. And this year they're 3-0. That's 16-4. So they've won 16 of the last 20 games. And the Eagles, they go 14-3 last year, and they're 2-0. And they're 16-3 over the last 19. Not counting the Super Bowl, talking regular season. So the 49ers as a team have won 16 of 20 ball games with 3 different quarterbacks. And Purdy's now 3-0. And the Eagles are 16-3. I'm not going to count. I'm talking regular season here. And they won 16-19. The Niners have better personnel than you. Giants first team since 2008, Rams under 100 first half yards since first 3 games of season. Niner fans can't brag. Giants are sloppy. So are the Steelers. Okay. Steelers too? All right. Oh, hey, Tone, is he 7-0? Purdy went 7-1 last year, including the playoffs. So what is he like 10-0? So Purdy's 10-0. Am I right in the last regular season games? He's 8-0. Well, he played 3 games this year. Okay. I mean, he's 3-0 this year. So he's 8-0. Okay. Okay. Niners are winning a lot of games. Giants do stink. Wait a minute. Wins matter for Purdy, not Hurts. No, I was talking about you guys bring up 19-1 all the time or whatever that thing is. I just, want you to be in context here that Niners are winning a lot of games too. And by the way, they're finishing on the podium. Who cares, right? Brock Purdy looks good though. He does, man. I tell you what, I like the way he gets the football out of his hands. I really do. I like the way he gets that ball out of there. So wait a minute here. The Steelers stink. The Steelers stink. The Giants stink. Hey, way to go, guys. Hey. Oh, man. How many people believe the Vikings aren't going to make the Vikings are going to make the playoffs? The Giants are clearly not going. Hey, the Commanders are better. I think the Commanders are better than the Giants. I think many of us said that. Okay? No Barkley. It's called the NFL, my friends. Got to deal with Seattle. What's funnier, the Niners thinking they have a chance? If they lose Sunday, they'll trade Cousins to New York. Kirk Cousins to the Jets? Kirk Cousins to the Jets? Kirk Cousins to the Jets. Isaac goes, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Purdy should have had 4 INT. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Yeah. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Shoulda had this, shoulda had that. Shoulda had this. No Super Bowls in September. No, but if you go 0-3, you ain't going nowhere near the Super Bowl. Vikings won't trade Cousins unless they go 1-5, says Maniac. By the way, Philly Godfather is with us at 5:30 Eastern time. Yes, sir. Latin Inferno. Cousins to... Hey, Bear. That's a good one. No, because Nathaniel Hackett is in New York. No way would Wilson go to New York. And the Jets, the Broncos, no way would they trade for him. No way. They would trade for Kirk Cousins before they would trade for Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson, who's Denver play this week? They play Miami. I think Russell Wilson could lose his job if he doesn't beat the Miami Dolphins in Miami. And I don't believe they are going to. We're going to go over that list here in a minute. Okay? I think he could lose his job this week. And they're going to be looking to trade him. Somebody is going to look at Russell Wilson, who loses a quarterback. Okay? Wilson looks like he's washed up. Man. So let me ask you this then. Russell Wilson falls off the planet like that. All great quarterbacks struggle, correct? So Russell Wilson, coming out of his confines of being up in Seattle, the grass wasn't greener on the other side, was it? Pete Carroll's a better coach than Sean Payton. They won in Seattle as a group and together. You see, Russell Wilson thought he was going to pull a Brady. Well, Brady did it. I can do it. Russell Wilson's not Tom Brady. He's not. Matthew Stafford went to a great play-calling head coach. Sean McVay is 10 times the coach Sean Payton is. That guy went to a Super Bowl with Jared Goff. You forget that. And lost 14-7. He went to a Super Bowl with Goff. 1-1 with Stafford. Still the youngest head coach in the NFL today. He's been in like 9 years. Crazy number. That's a great coach. Doesn't matter who his signal caller is. Guy's going to get you there, man. You love golf now? Yeah, I hated him. When Jeff Fisher was his coach, he blew. Absolutely. Well, wait a minute. Let's go by Senor's thought process. This is what Senor says. Jared Goff got fired in Los Angeles. He looked inconsistent and horrible after that Super Bowl. So much so, the Rams quit on him. Anybody in their right mind would have went like this. Wow. Then he gets traded like he was garbage to the Lions to get Stafford to Los Angeles. Stafford goes up there, or Goff goes up to Detroit and turns his career around. But Senor would rather have me sit here and say, Jared Goff still sucks. That's not evident. I don't understand how people don't give people credit for the improvement of one's career or one's career going the other way. What are you watching? I don't watch football like that. I don't stick on a take if the player gets better or worse. 99.9% of all Eagle fans, you changed too. You flip-flopped on Carson Wentz. You flip-flopped on him. You flip-flopped on the Hurts pick. Don't make that sound dumb like you are. Goff refined his game in Detroit. He surely did, Brandon. He surely did. Sports is a contradiction. Sometimes you're playing great. Sometimes you're not. Like, look at the criticism, Bill. Hey, so do you think criticizing Bill Belichick is fair or not fair right now? He won all those Super Bowls. Do you think criticizing Belichick today is fair or not fair? What would you say to that? Do you mean how many people look at Belichick today? Is Bill open for criticism for his draft picks? That Patricia thing a year ago? Derailing Mac Jones a bit? Not getting offensive personnel in the building? Is he open for criticism? Here's a guy that won 6 rings. Is he open for criticism? Yes or no? Belichick's the GOAT. I didn't ask you that. His legacy will never be thought of in a different. I don't look at it like this. Well, Belichick, the back end of his career. Look at Don Shula. What did Don Shula win? He won nothing with Dan Marino. Nothing. Does that diminish Don Shula's resume? Honestly, do you really think Don Shula's last 15 years of his career, they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything. Do you think that diminishes Don Shula's legacy and what he meant to the league? They're still good, but aren't keeping up with the AFC. Well, Yale, that's my point. Do you not think that's open for criticism? You see, here's the one thing, too. You got to remember something. This is why Pittsburgh, you really can't shit on Mike Tomlin or the Steelers. Why? Well, they've had 3 head coaches since 1969. They may go through some down times, but it's not catastrophic down times. The Steelers are going to win a Super Bowl again sometime in the next 10 years. And why would you say that, Dan? Because they always do. As long as the Rooneys own that team, the Steelers are going to be back to being contenders again because that's what the Steelers are. They don't believe in turnover. They don't believe in signing a ton of free agents. They believe in self-evaluation and self-development with their draft choices. That's why they land on a ton of wideouts. John Stallworth and Antonio Brown were not first rounders. They found these guys in later rounds. I mean, the Steelers are the gold standard in how you stay stable. Shitbag Peyton wants to wristband Wilson. You know why, Bear? That's to let everyone know it is a scarlet letter that Wilson is not the player he once was. So they're going to something that the player has to wear now because the coach is not confident in him, that he knows what he's asking him to do in a game. You can't be any more insulting than that. Sean Payton, I have no respect for that guy. So you're going to take a shit on a guy who's a true Hall of Famer, who might not be the player he was a couple years ago. You were never the coach that people think you are. You were never that guy. Russell Wilson, the problem with him, he doesn't have Marshawn Lynch. Pete Carroll knew that. The only thing that kept him playing well in Seattle, they always had a running game. Always had a running game. When Marshawn Lynch was the star of that offense, not Russell Wilson. And when they took the football out of Marshawn Lynch's hand in that second Super Bowl, and he threw that pick, that's when that relationship with Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll went the other way. Take a look at it. Am I wrong? That team was never the same after that interception. That team was never the same. And when Beast Mode left the building, their Super Bowl chances left the building. Okay? Pete Carroll lost that game. Wilson threw the pick. Shit, I'd rather have him run it in. Why didn't he? He was on the one. By the way, if I am a quarterback and I'm on the 1 yard line and I have Marshawn Lynch behind me and I'm Tom Brady, I'm either doing a quarterback sneak or I'm handing it to that guy. I'm not taking a chance at a tip pass. It's a high percentage turnover play. I'm handing it to that dude behind me. I'm trying to win the game here, not trying to be the star of the game. That's the problem you have with some of these coordinators. I told you, some coordinators want to put yards and points up. Some coordinators want to win games. And I got to tell you, Brian Johnson, for the first time in that Minnesota game, showed me he's about trying to win the game. We're not throwing it. Took the ball out of Hurts's hands and put it into the offensive line and into the running game. Right thing. Hey, you don't think Bill O'Brien has taken the game sometimes out of Brady's hand? Hey, when they won that Super Bowl 14-7 over the Rams, did they not take the ball out of Brady's hand? How many yards did Brady throw for in that game? Was it 154? I mean, how many yards did he throw against the Eagles and lose? Didn't he throw for like 500 yards against you guys? And he lost that game. How many yards did he throw for in that Super Bowl against the Rams? 150? They took the ball out of his hands. Said, we're going to run this thing. Okay? Brady had 500 yards. I mean, that 14-7 game, Brady, he threw for 262. I thought he had a Super Bowl where he threw for 154. I thought that maybe I'm talking about the wrong Super Bowl. I thought he had 154 yards in one of the Super Bowls. And they took the ball out of his hand. I thought he had a game where Brady's Super Bowl stats. I thought he had a game where he only threw for, it was the first one against St. Louis. He threw for 145. That's it right there. Thanks, Tone. He had 145 in that game, and he threw for 201 in that Kansas City game. Not a really awesome over-the-top game there, but it was the first one against the Rams. They took the ball out of his hands. Threw for 145. 145. That was defense, special teams. Vinatieri won that Super Bowl. Man, I can't believe he's been to 10. That's insane, man. Okay? That's insane. They never looked back after that. He went him. Brady's Super Bowls. After that Super Bowl, 32 of 48, 354 against Carolina. 23 of 33. The Giants, he threw for 266, 29 of 48. The Giants, 27 to 41, 276. Atlanta, he threw for 460. Brady's 2 Super Bowls, Atlanta and Philly, 466, 505. Holy shit, he threw for 1,000 yards in 2 games. Crazy. Then 201 in the final one. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Tremendous. Never see anything like that ever again in pro football history. Okay, so Monday's game. By the way, we're going to take a look at the upcoming week 3 of the NFL. I think there's going to be some surprises this coming week. What are you looking for? What kind of performance are you looking for against the Bucs? Seals, your takes are off the charts. Have to stop paying attention to the ones you can put in a thimble. Okay. What are you looking for in that game on Monday? I hope somebody says it. What are you looking for in that game on Monday? Strong run game? Looking for a better third down defense? I like Yale, and I like what you guys are saying. Look, win the game. That's going to be a one-possession game. Okay? It's going to be a one-possession game again. It's I'm looking for the Eagles to win first and third down. Tone knows what he's talking about, man. You put somebody 2nd and 8 and then 3rd and 7, you win ball games. Right. The one thing we saw last year that the Eagles were so dynamic at, I rarely saw that team in 3rd and 10. It was always 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, 4th and inches. Very rarely was it 3rd and 10. Your 3 and outs have to stop. Okay? They absolutely have to stop. Looking for your excuses for our 3 TD victory. What 3D? You haven't had that yet. Barry, the Bucs are 2-0. I know they're playing well. Or how about this? They're surprising. Quan's giving us like wishful thinking. They're still creating the identity. Yeah, why would they have to try to recreate their identity? Don't they know who they are going? I thought the Eagles knew who they were. And one of the very few teams that know. I tell you what, when I watch the 49ers, they know who they are. They want to spread people out, and they want to get the ball in the hands of Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Ayuk when he's healthy, and McCaffrey. And they want to get that ball quick to them. It's 3-step, 5-step, and it's to them. They got an identity, man. They can run it. They can catch it. They're balanced. They play great balanced defense. That's a good-looking football team. You bet, man. Now, they got a lesser schedule than you. That's why they're probably going to win more games than you this year. They don't play the tougher teams like you do. Okay? You played a tougher schedule, one of the absolutely toughest schedules in the NFL. You're not going to have as many wins as San Francisco. Well, that don't mean you're not going to play better by the end of the year. I tell you this all the time. You can have more wins than someone, be in a shitty division, then you go play like when the Giants played the Patriots and they were undefeated. The Giants were 10-6. They beat them in a Super Bowl. Who gave a shit about being undefeated and winning and being 17-0 or 18-0? Who cared about it? You know what I'm saying? Who cared? Nobody cares about records in the NFL. Okay? Last time I checked, you lost people in the offensive side? So you think Miles Sanders and Isaac Seumalo has forced you guys into having a new offensive identity? Really? You really think you need a new offensive identity? Having lost Isaac Seumalo and Miles Sanders. Wow, that's quite an impact then for you to let those guys walk out the building. That's quite a thing. So you knew it was going to impact your team that much that you would stumble coming out of the gate. How about this? I don't want to use that word stumble. How about this? Wobble. Out of the gate offensively. So you thought those two guys would cause that much chaos. Okay? The O-line isn't the same. So Seumalo is the reason why your quarterback has 7 sacks. You know, an O-line is a lot different than a D-line. Maybe Seumalo is more of a loss. Hey, I don't know, Tone, right, everyone? Maybe Seumalo is more of a loss. Coaches stop being stubborn, passing game through run, not the other way. Sirianni's first year all over again. Little bit. See, look, you got to remember something about playing defense. Every single defensive football player on the D-line can make a mistake. And one guy play his technique and make a play and have a tackle for loss. If one guy on the O-line makes a mistake, it's catastrophic for the entire unit. You've got to have more chemistry to play O-line. That's why it's hard. I think it's harder to play O-line. I think you have to be more athletic to play defensive line. That's why you see D linemen come into the league and, wow, the guys, you put them in a position, you see these guys playing right away, they're good. That's why you see most of the great offensive linemen. You see most of the great offensive linemen are older guys, 33, 32, 30. The best years for O-linemen are probably 28 to 36. It's a tough technique, man. Playing O-line's a tough deal. And remember, because you're backpedaling. In my opinion, play calling is more than just reading a sheet of paper. You have to have a feel for sequencing. You got to establish the chemistry with the quarterback. I think they figure it out ultimately. The way, and you know what, Tone, before I take a time out here, you know how if I were a play caller in today's NFL and I had someone like Hurts, I think it's really hard to coach Jalen Hurts. Now, don't take that where I say Jalen Hurts is difficult to coach. That's not what I'm saying. I think it's easy to sit here and go like this off a play sheet. Tell me if you don't agree with this. I think if I have a 7-step drop quarterback, I've got a list of 22 plays that I'm going to have for my quarterback, because here's the one dynamic I don't have. I may have kind of a rollout for him. Patrick Mahomes runs because he's getting away from pressure. He doesn't have very many run design plays. And that's not something I'm looking to do to move the chains. So if I got a play chart for Mahomes, this is all about completion percentage, not having high turnover plays down the field plus 25. This is going to the intermediate passing like Brady. This is why I think you got to study more if you're going to be Tom Brady versus more Jalen Hurts. Because when you add the dynamic to running the ball in there, shit, man, then you're going to get people that are disgruntled. How come we're running the ball? We're not throwing the ball. Hey, I came here. I make $20 million. You got all that shit to deal with. I think it's really tough to coach Jalen. I think it's a tougher deal because you got to get a running game going. And you know how many times did you see Brady get the running game going with the intermediate passing and the short passing game? I mean, name me really great backs they had. Hey, Yale, the great running backs that they had up there, Corey Dillon, the kid that they sent to the Rams, the Georgia guy was good. Lamar White or Smith early. LeGarrette Blount was more of a goal line guy. Quan's absolutely bull-faced line. I never said Hurts is uncoachable. Again, made up. Okay? Must be a Democrat. Sonny McCann. Yeah, I thought he was good. Blunt was more of a red zone guy. Okay? He was more of a red zone guy. Quan, I got to take a timeout, man. Hey, sorry, man. Hey, wait a minute, Quan. I can't stop laughing. Okay? Yeah. You got me good. Hey, you got me good there, Quan. Power Hour coming up. Philly Godfather. Oh, Quan, you got me good, dude. Oh, man. Jesus criminy. Hey, don't forget, man. We're going to be in town next week. You got me, bro. You did. You win. Hey, you won that hour, Quan. Hey, make sure you come check us out at the King of Prussia next weekend, man. NortheastHooters.com, one of the 7 locations nearest to you for you to come in and enjoy yourself. For you to enjoy yourself and experience what I've been talking about for a long time. Look, all the great football going on, HootersToGo.com if you don't want to go into any one of the locations. Also try some of our specials. Buy 10 wings, get 10 boneless. Wing Wednesdays, $19.83, all you can eat. Kids eat for free on Saturdays. 6 items, $6. NortheastHooters.com. When you go into any one of the locations, please do me a favor. You tell them Big Sil sent you.
Football and Hooters.